My name is Jack, and my wife Lily is a beautiful blonde with a hot body. In virtual socializing, she gradually became addicted to the ambiguity with netizens. I thought my happiness was solid, but I didn't know she had changed her mind. A storm was about to come, and her eyes no longer belonged to me. The days seemed to flow peacefully, but I gradually noticed some subtle changes in Lily. The person who once shared the trivialities of the day with me as soon as she got off work, and who would snuggle up in my arms to watch movies together, now smiled sweetly at the screen of her phone more and more frequently. Lily is a typical European-American beauty with long, golden hair that shines like the sun, casually draped over her graceful shoulders and shimmering with a charming luster in the light. Her deep blue eyes, like pools of deep water, used to be full of love for me, but now they often shine with a different kind of light because of a message on her phone. She is tall and curvy, and exudes a unique charm with every turn and step. Recently, she has started to carefully dress herself up, spending more time in front of the mirror every morning than before. She carefully selects her clothes, those fashionable dresses that bring out the best in her figure. After spraying on that bottle of expensive perfume with an enchanting scent, she seems to be enveloped in a mysterious and seductive aura. At first, although I noticed it, I kept telling myself that maybe she was just stressed from work and wanted to relax by chatting with friends, or that she had developed a stronger interest in fashion. Until one day, I happened to catch a glimpse of a message pop up on her phone screen. The intimate words and the ambiguous nickname the other person used to address her made my heart sink. I suppressed my unease and asked her in a calm tone, "Lily, what is your relationship with this person? Why are you speaking so intimately?" Her eyes flashed with panic for a moment, and then she quickly hid her face from me, impatiently grabbed the phone and said, "Why are you looking at my phone? We are just casual friends, chatting, so don't think too much about it." From then on, Lily became even more cautious. She always secretly chatted with that internet friend when I wasn't around. Sometimes I would suddenly approach, and she would quickly turn the phone screen face down or hastily end the conversation. Her actions filled my heart with doubt and unease. One time, I came home from work and saw her sitting on the sofa with a sweet smile on her face, her fingers flying over the screen of her phone. I crept up behind her to see who she was chatting with, but she seemed to sense my approach, and she turned her head sharply, her eyes full of alarm and anger. She said loudly, "Will you stop sneaking around all the time? I need some privacy." I was taken aback by her reaction, and my anger flared up. I shouted back, "Lily, what are you hiding? We're married, and your behavior makes me very uneasy." She just snorted, got up, took her phone and walked into the bedroom, slamming the door behind her. In the days that followed, the atmosphere between us became extremely tense. Lily no longer initiated communication with me as she used to, and she was always absorbed in her phone. I, on the other hand, spent every day in agony and suspicion, wondering just how far her relationship with that internet friend had developed. At the weekend, we had planned to go for a walk in the countryside park and enjoy some rare time together. But Lily kept looking at her phone, constantly replying to messages. I watched her distracted appearance and finally couldn't hold back any longer. I stopped in my tracks and looked at her and said, "Lily, can you put down your phone today and spend some time with me? We haven't had a proper chat for a long time." She frowned impatiently and said, "I'm just chatting with a friend about something important. It won't take long." Then she lowered her head and started typing again. I watched her indifferent expression, and my disappointment and anger reached a peak. I turned around and left, ignoring her. After I had walked a while, I couldn't help but look back. I saw Lily standing there, her eyes a little confused, as if she was hesitating whether to catch up with me or continue chatting with her online friend. In the end, she chose to continue looking down at her phone. At that moment, my heart felt as if it had been stabbed. I knew that there were serious problems in our relationship. When we got home, we fell into a cold war. No one wanted to speak first, and a depressing atmosphere filled the house. I sat on the sofa in the living room, and the sweet image of Lily chatting with that internet friend kept flashing through my mind, filling my heart with pain and resentment. I didn't know where this marriage was going, and I didn't know if Lily would ever come back to me. Lily, on the other hand, didn't seem to realize the seriousness of the situation. She continued to chat with the internet friend every day, and sometimes even got up in the middle of the night to chat with him in the bathroom. I lay in bed, listening to her hushed conversations in the bathroom, and tears couldn't help but fall. I began to observe her every move and noticed that she was becoming increasingly dependent on that internet friend. She would be happy all day because of a message from him, and would also become depressed because of an indifferent remark. I tried to communicate with her again, but every time it ended in an argument. One night, I was working late in the study. When I dragged my tired body into the bedroom, I saw Lily lying on the bed with a smile on her face, as if she was having a beautiful dream. I walked gently over to her and wanted to take a look at her phone. But the moment I picked up the phone, she suddenly woke up. She saw me holding her phone and her eyes were full of fear and anger. She snatched the phone from me and said angrily, "What do you want? Don't you trust me?" I looked at her helplessly and said, "Lily, I just want to know who you are chatting with and why you have become so cold to me." She was silent for a while and then said, "He and I are really just casual friends, we just chat, so don't be paranoid." After that, she turned around and ignored me. I looked at her back, my heart filled with helplessness and despair. As time passed, Lily and the internet friend seemed to become more and more intimate. She began to make excuses to go out frequently, saying that she was meeting up with friends, but I knew that she was probably meeting up with the internet friend. I tried to follow her, but she cleverly avoided me every time. Once, I found a receipt from an unfamiliar restaurant in her bag. My heart tightened, and I guessed that she had probably gone to that restaurant with the internet friend. I confronted her with the receipt, but she denied it, saying she went there with a colleague. But I could see from her evasive eyes that she was lying. Our conflicts grew deeper and our marriage became increasingly tenuous. I lived in pain and torment every day, not knowing how to salvage the relationship. Lily, on the other hand, seemed to have completely immersed herself in the virtual world of flirtations, ignoring me and our marriage. Finally, one day, I found a photo of her and that internet friend on her phone. In the photo, she was smiling broadly, her eyes full of love. At that moment, my heart was completely broken. I took the phone, walked up to her, and threw the photo at her, angrily saying, "Lily, how long are you going to keep this from me? Is this what you call just a friend?" She looked at the photo and her face turned pale. She opened her mouth to explain, but nothing came out. I looked at her and my disappointment and anger reached a peak. I turned around and left the house, wandering alone on the street, not knowing where to go or what to do. The city was full of lights at night, but I couldn't feel any warmth. I thought of the good times we had and the sweet days we spent together. But now everything has changed. Lily's betrayal has made me lose faith in love and marriage. I don't know how long I walked in the street. It was late at night before I dragged my heavy footsteps back home. Lily was sitting in the living room, her eyes staring blankly ahead. When she saw me come in, she stood up and tried to talk to me. But I didn't give her the chance. I went straight into the bedroom and closed the door. From then on, although we still lived under the same roof, we were like strangers. We no longer communicated and no longer cared about each other's lives. Every day, I struggled in pain, not knowing if this marriage could still be salvaged. Lily, on the other hand, seemed to be caught up in deep self-blame and pain, but she did not have the courage to confess everything to me. As the days passed, the gap between us grew wider and wider. I looked at Lily and my heart was filled with complex emotions. The love I once felt has now turned to hatred, and the family ties that cannot be severed have plunged me into deep conflict. I don't know what the future of this relationship will hold, and I don't know if we can ever go back to the way things were. And Lily's ambiguous relationship with that internet friend continues. She seems unable to extricate herself, completely immersed in the sweetness of the virtual world and ignoring everything in real life. I watch her change day by day, my heart filled with helplessness and sadness. I don't know how this warming of the ambiguous relationship will ultimately end our marriage, nor do I know if I can ever get back the Lily who once loved me so much. Since I discovered Lily's affair with the internet user, the atmosphere at home has become increasingly oppressive. like a heavy dark cloud that always hangs between us. Lily is caught in a deep internal struggle, her world torn in two. On the one hand, there is the marriage I have walked through with her for many years. This home was once a haven of love for us, full of warm memories. The cozy little house we decorated together, the sweet photos hanging on the wall, recording every little moment we had together. The happy times we spent cooking together in the kitchen, the cozy evenings snuggled on the sofa watching movies. All these are the testimony of our love. My care and love for her have never changed, and even after discovering her differences, I still tried to understand her and save the relationship. On the other side, there is the mysterious online friend in the virtual world who has brought Lily an unprecedented sense of freshness. In communicating with him, Lily seems to have found a whole new self, a confidant with whom she can pour out her innermost secrets and share the trivialities of life. His sweet words, his attention and praise for Lily, have caused ripples in Lily's heart, which had gradually become dull in the marriage. Lily has become indifferent to me. In the past, she would always take the initiative to share her joys and sorrows with me, and would care about my work and life. But now, she often gives me perfunctory greetings and concerns, and her eyes no longer have the tenderness and love of the past. She no longer initiates communication with me, and even if we are sitting on the same sofa, it is as if there is an invisible wall between us. However, late at night, I often hear her crying in her bed. One time, I woke up in the middle of the night and found her body trembling slightly, and the sound of suppressed sobs coming from her mouth. A sharp pain shot through my heart. I wanted to reach out to comfort her, but I was afraid that she would become even more disgusted. I could only lie quietly next to her, listening to her crying, my heart filled with helplessness and pain. I tried to salvage our relationship and hope to win Lily back. I started to pay more attention to her preferences, buying her the flowers she liked and taking her to the restaurant she always wanted to go to. I tried to recall our good times and share those warm memories with her, hoping to arouse her attachment to our marriage. But my efforts seemed to have had little effect. Although Lily doesn't reject my actions outwardly, I can feel that her heart is no longer with me. Her eyes are always wandering, as if she's thinking about that internet friend. Her attitude towards me remains cold, and she even shows impatience sometimes. Once, we went to the movies together, which was our favorite pastime. After the movie, I tried to discuss the plot with her and share my feelings, but she was distracted, constantly checking her phone and replying to messages from her online friend. Filled with anger and disappointment, I confronted her. "Lily, do you even care about me? We're on a date. Can't you put your phone away for once and spend some time with me?" She looked up, her eyes flashing with guilt, but it was quickly replaced by indifference. She said coldly, "I'm just chatting with a friend. Don't make such a big deal out of it." After that, she lowered her head and continued to look at her phone. I looked at her and the pain in my heart was indescribable. As time passed, Lily's heart seemed to drift further and further away. She began to go out frequently, saying that she was meeting up with friends, but I knew that she was probably meeting up with that internet friend. Every time she went out, I anxiously waited at home, filled with unease and speculation. I didn't know what they did together, or whether their relationship had gone beyond that of ordinary friends. One day, Lily came back from an outing and I saw a happy smile on her face. A smile I hadn't seen in a long time. My heart ached, and I knew that smile was probably because of that internet friend. I couldn't help but ask her, "Who were you with today? Why are you so happy?" Her smile instantly froze, and a flash of panic crossed her eyes before she said, "I was with a friend, so don't worry about it." Then she walked into the bedroom and closed the door. I stood there, my heart filled with helplessness and despair. I knew that our marriage had reached a very dangerous edge. Lily's internal struggle was driving her further and further away from me, and I didn't know how to make her come back. During this time, I also fell into deep pain. I constantly reflected on myself, wondering if I had neglected Lily's feelings in our marriage and if I had not given her enough care and love. I tried to find the root of the problem in the hope of resolving the conflict between us. I started talking to Lily's friends, hoping to get some insight into her thoughts and situation. But Lily's friends seemed to know everything about her, but they were unwilling to say more. They just told me that Lily has been in a bad mood recently and asked me to pay more attention to her. I understood in my heart that they were helping Lily hide, but there was nothing I could do. Lily's internal struggle continues, as she vacillates between marriage and the temptations of the virtual world. Sometimes she shows me a glimmer of tenderness, giving me hope. Other times she becomes cold and heartless, plunging me into despair. I am exhausted by this repeated torment. One time, I was working late in the study when Lily came in quietly and brought me a cup of coffee. I looked at her and felt a surge of emotion, thinking that she had finally come back to her senses. But just as I was about to have a good chat with her, her phone suddenly rang. She glanced at the phone, her face instantly turning pale, and then hurriedly left the study. I watched her leave, and my hopes were dashed once again. Lily's internal struggle has put our marriage in jeopardy. I don't know what choice she will ultimately make, nor do I know what our future holds. I only know that I cannot give up on this relationship easily, and that I must do my utmost to win Lily back and save our marriage. But no matter what the outcome, I hope that Lily can find true happiness, even if it is no longer from me. As the days passed, Lily's inner struggle seemed to become more and more intense. Her mood became erratic. Sometimes she would suddenly fly into a rage, and sometimes she would fall into long periods of silence. Watching her like this, my heart was filled with pain and helplessness. I knew that she was also suffering in this relationship, and that she was also trying hard to find her own way. I have not given up. Every day, I write Lily a letter, expressing my love and longing for her, as well as my expectations for our marriage. I leave the letters on her dressing table, hoping that she can see my sincerity. Although I don't know if she will read them, I believe that if I persist, I will be able to move her one day. In this process full of struggle and pain, we have both grown and changed. I have learned to cherish the people around me more, and I have also come to understand that marriage needs to be constantly nurtured and maintained. Lily, too, has gradually come to see her true feelings as she struggles with her inner demons, but she still does not have the courage to face her own choices. I don't know where our story will ultimately lead, but I believe that no matter what the ending is, we will learn from this experience and become stronger and more mature. And I will always wait for Lily, waiting for her to come back to me and return to the warm home we once had. It was an ordinary weekday, but I had to embark on an urgent business trip. I was looking forward to spending more time with Lily and trying to repair our relationship, which had become strained, but my work duties did not allow for any hesitation. Before I left, I looked at Lily. Her eyes still looked a little evasive, but I suppressed my inner unease and gave her a gentle hug, saying, "I'll be back soon. Take care of yourself." Lily just nodded slightly and didn't say much. During the days of my business trip, I was always restless. The busy work couldn't completely make me forget about my worries at home, and my concerns and suspicions about Lily followed me everywhere. Every night, I lay in bed, and the image of Lily with that internet friend always came to mind, filling my heart with bitterness and unease. I kept telling myself to trust Lily, but those old images kept playing back in my mind, making me unable to feel at ease. One night, I finished work early and decided to go home early. I wanted to surprise Lily, and perhaps this sudden return would ease our relationship. I set off home with a mixture of anxiety and anticipation. Along the way, I imagined Lily's surprised expression when she saw me, and a sense of warmth came over me. When I opened the door, there was silence in the house. There was no sign of Lily, and there was no familiar smell of food. I called out Lily's name a few times, but there was no response. An ominous feeling welled up in my heart, and I quickly walked into the bedroom. I found that Lily's carefully selected clothes and jewelry were gone, and her favorite handbag was placed on the bed, with some of the cosmetics inside also taken away. I also checked the charging port of her phone and found that it was also not there. My heart sank instantly, and my sense of unease grew stronger. I paced anxiously around the room, trying to find some clues to prove that my guess was wrong. But all the signs pointed to the fact that Lily had gone out, and it was likely that she was meeting that internet friend. I sat by the bed, put my hands on my head, and my heart was filled with pain and anger. I couldn't believe that Lily would really take this step and really betray our marriage. Time passed by minute after minute. Each second felt like a year. I don't know how long I waited in the room, and finally heard the sound of the door lock turning. My heart tightened, and I stood up, my eyes fixed on the door. Lily walked through the door, her face still flushed, her eyes full of panic and fear. She froze when she saw me standing there, and almost dropped the bag in her hand. I looked at her and said in a trembling voice, "Where have you been?" Lily opened her mouth, trying to say something, but she couldn't. Her eyes avoided mine, afraid to make eye contact. I walked closer to her and caught the scent of an unfamiliar perfume on her. It wasn't the perfume she usually wore, and it made my heart ache. I asked again, "Did you go and see him?" Lily's body trembled slightly, and finally she lowered her head and whispered, "Yes, I went to see him." Hearing her admit it herself, my heart felt as if it was being cut by countless knives, and the pain made it impossible to breathe. I said angrily, "Is our marriage that unimportant to you? How could you do such a thing?" Lily looked up, her eyes full of tears. She cried, "Jack, I know I was wrong. I was just confused and couldn't control myself. After I met him, I realized that he was different from what I imagined, and I regret it." I looked at her as she cried, my anger and pain intertwined, not knowing what to say. I turned around, walked over to the sofa, sat down, and covered my face with my hands. Lily stood there at a loss, as if she wanted to come closer to me but was afraid to. The room was filled with a suffocating atmosphere, with only Lily's sobbing echoing in the air. After a while, I looked up and looked at Lily and said, "Do you know how much you have hurt me? Our relationship over the years has been destroyed so easily by you." Lily walked over to me, knelt down, took my hand and said, "Jack, please forgive me. I really know I was wrong. I promise I won't do it again." I looked at her, my heart full of conflict. I had loved her so much, and we had been through so much together. I really didn't want to give up our marriage like this. But her betrayal made it impossible for me to let go easily. I shook her hand off and stood up, saying, "I need to calm down now. You go back to your room first." Lily's eyes were filled with despair. She slowly got up and walked into the bedroom. I sat alone on the sofa, looking at the ceiling, my mind filled with thoughts. I remembered all the little things we had done together, those beautiful memories now turning into sharp blades, piercing my heart. I sat on the sofa all night, unable to sleep. The image of Lily and that internet friend together kept popping up in my head, and I imagined their intimate actions, the pain and anger in my heart constantly surging. I didn't know how to face Lily, nor did I know how to face this broken marriage. The next morning, Lily walked out of the bedroom. Her eyes were red and swollen, and her face was full of exhaustion and remorse. She looked at me and said softly, "Jack, I made you breakfast. Have some." I looked at her, and my heart was no longer filled with anger, but only endless disappointment. I shook my head and said, "I'm not hungry." Since then, although we still live under the same roof, we are like strangers. We no longer have any intimate actions, and we rarely even speak. Lily always looks at me carefully, as if she wants to make up for her mistakes, but I can no longer treat her as I used to. During this period, I felt like I was living in a cold prison from which I could not break free. I kept asking myself if I could continue this marriage and if I could forgive Lily for her betrayal. I was struggling in pain, not knowing which way to go in the future. Lily, on the other hand, was also caught up in deep self-blame and pain. Every day, she tried to salvage our relationship, but every effort she made seemed to be rubbing salt into my wounds. I knew she regretted what she had done, but I could not let go of my pain so easily. As the days passed, there was still no improvement in our relationship. As I looked at Lily, my heart was filled with complex emotions: hatred, disappointment, and a trace of love that was hard to let go. I did not know if our marriage could still be saved, or if we could go back to the way things were. But I know that this experience will become a constant pain in my heart. No matter what the future holds, I will never be able to forget Lily's betrayal. Lily's betrayal was like a bomb that exploded in my life, creating a huge gap and shattering my once peaceful world. From the moment I discovered her infidelity, pain has been with me, gnawing at my heart. During those few days, it was as if my soul had been sucked out of me, and I was living like a walking corpse. During the day, I went to work mechanically, and when I greeted my colleagues, I could only force a smile that was even uglier than crying. While I was working, my thoughts would always wander, and the images of Lily with that internet friend kept popping up in my head. Those images pricked my nerves like needles, making it impossible for me to concentrate. After a long day at work, I finally returned home, a home that once was full of warmth, but now was filled with a sense of oppression. I didn't know how to face Lily. Lily seemed to be surrounded by endless guilt and self-blame. She always looked at me carefully, her eyes full of fear and expectation. She tried to talk to me, but every time she opened her mouth, I stopped her with my cold gaze. I became extremely cold towards her. I knew that this was very cruel to her, but the pain inside me made it impossible for me to let go easily. One day, I could no longer bear the oppressive atmosphere, and I decided to have a serious talk with Lily. We sat on the sofa in the living room, facing each other, but there seemed to be an unbridgeable gap between us. I looked at her with pain and anger in my eyes and asked her, "Lily, tell me, why did you do this? Do you really think that all the years we've spent together were worthless?" Tears welled up in Lily's eyes, and she choked as she said, "Jack, I really don't know what came over me back then. I was just lost for a moment. It was only when I was with him that I realized what a stupid thing I had done. I love you and always have. Please forgive me for this one mistake." Her voice was full of despair and remorse, but as I listened, there was no trace of pity in my heart. I was torn between love and hate. I loved Lily, there was no doubt about it. We had been through so much together, and had so many fond memories. I had always thought that we would continue to be so happy together until we were old. But now, her betrayal had made me deeply doubt that love. I hated her. I hated her infidelity. I hated the fact that she had so easily betrayed our marriage and betrayed my trust in her. I even began to doubt whether her love for me had ever been genuine. The stares of those around me also made me feel very pressured. After learning about the incident, some of my friends expressed sympathy for me, while others gossiped behind my back. Their stares and words, like sharp blades, stabbed my pride. I began to fear going out, to fear facing the stares of others, as if I had done something shameful. The internal torment made it impossible for me to sleep at night. Every night, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, my mind constantly pondering where I should go from here. Should I choose to continue this marriage, give Lily a chance, and give myself a chance to repair our relationship? Or should I choose to let go, end this marriage that has caused me so much pain, and start a new life? Choosing to continue is a huge challenge for me. I need to overcome my inner pain and distrust of Lily and rebuild my confidence in her. I'm not sure if I can do it, and I'm not sure if Lily can really change for the better and not make the same mistakes again. And even if we can continue, the betrayal will remain like a scar in our marriage, reminding me of that painful past from time to time. Choosing to let go also caused me immense pain. I couldn't let go of our years of affection, and I couldn't let go of this home that was once full of love. Moreover, for me, divorce is not just ending a marriage, it also means having to face many practical problems, such as dividing property, how family members will react, and so on. More importantly, I was afraid that I would never find someone else to love as deeply as I loved Lily. In the midst of this painful decision, I became taciturn and my mood became erratic. Sometimes, I would suddenly fly into a rage over trivial matters. Other times, I would fall into long periods of silence and contemplation. Lily watched me like this, filled with self-reproach and pain, and she kept apologizing to me, trying to make up for her mistakes, but I could never truly forgive her. One day, I went to the beach alone, a place we used to go to often. As I watched the rough waves, my emotions were just like the waves themselves, unable to calm down for a long time. I sat on the beach, recalling the bits and pieces of our time together here, and those sweet memories made me tearful. I remembered the first time we came to the beach, Lily excitedly running across the sand like a child. We picked up shells together and watched the sunset together, and those good times felt like they were just yesterday. But now everything has changed. I looked into the distance and asked myself, can I really let go of the past and start over? Just then, my phone suddenly rang. It was Lily. I hesitated for a moment, but then I picked up the phone. Lily was crying on the other end of the line. Jack, I know I was wrong. I really can't live without you. Please give me another chance, and I will spend the rest of my life making up for my mistakes. Listening to Lily's sobs, my heart was once again moved. I knew that I still loved her, and I could not easily let go of this relationship. But could I really forgive her? This question kept hovering in my mind, preventing me from making a decision. When I got home, Lily saw me and immediately threw herself into my arms, crying uncontrollably. As I looked at her haggard face, the hatred in my heart gradually dissipated. I gently patted her back and said, Lily, I need time to think about this. Lily nodded, a glimmer of hope in her eyes. In the following days, I continued to struggle with my pain. I kept recalling our past and thinking about our future. I knew that this decision would change my life forever, and I had to think carefully. I didn't know what choice I would ultimately make, but I hoped that no matter what decision I made, I could stop suffering and find true happiness. During the painful days after Lily's betrayal, I felt as if I were in a dark abyss, unable to see a single ray of light. My internal conflict and struggle were ever present, and every thought I had was torn between love and hate, leaving me utterly exhausted. Lily, on the other hand, was also overwhelmed by endless guilt and self-blame, and spent the whole day being cautious and trying to make up for her mistakes in every way she could. I began to investigate Lily's affair with the internet friend, trying to get the whole picture and find out what magic that man had that made Lily betray our marriage so easily. With the help of some friends and my own efforts, I gradually gathered some information about the internet friend. It turned out that the internet friend was named Tom, a person who was idle and did not work hard at his job. He specialized in finding women like Lily who had better living conditions and some emptiness in their hearts on virtual social platforms, using sweet words and a false identity to deceive their affection and trust, and ultimately to make money. The deeper I delved, the more difficult it was to suppress my anger. I was not only angry at Lily's stupidity, but also felt that I was not worth the pain I had suffered. One day, while collecting evidence, I accidentally discovered the chat logs between Tom and one of his accomplices. In those chat logs, they talked recklessly about how to lure Lily step by step and how to get more money from her. They even laughed at Lily's naivety and stupidity, their words full of contempt and disdain. Seeing this, my lungs were about to explode with anger. I decided that Tom should be punished as he deserved, and at the same time, I wanted to show Lily the true face of this man. I organized the evidence and, after returning home, decided to let Lily see it too. When I handed her the phone and let her read the chat history, Lily's face instantly turned pale. Her hands began to tremble, her eyes wide, unable to believe what she was seeing. Her lips trembled slightly, trying to say something, but she couldn't make a sound. As she flipped through the chat history, Lily gradually lost control of her emotions. Tears flowed like a burst dam, and she collapsed on the ground, sobbing. She cried and berated herself. How could I be so stupid? How could I believe his words? I'm so sorry, Jack. I really didn't know he was like this. I was cheated by him. Watching Lily crumble, the anger in my heart gradually subsided at that moment. I knew that she had also been deeply hurt at that moment. Not only had she been cheated by that man, she had also become a tool for him to make money. I knelt down and gently held Lily in my arms, comforting her. It's okay. Now that the truth has come to light, let's face it together. Lily cried in my arms for a long time, her cries filled with remorse and pain. After she had calmed down a little, I said to her, Lily, we can't just let it go. We have to make him pay for what he's done. Lily nodded, her eyes full of determination. Together, we gathered all the evidence and reported it to the police. The police took our information very seriously and quickly launched an investigation. During the investigation, we discovered that Tom had used the same tactics to deceive many women, and his actions had constituted fraud. As the investigation progressed, the police gradually tracked down Tom's whereabouts. It wasn't long before the police arrested him. When we saw Tom at the police station, he no longer had the same confident and arrogant appearance as in the virtual world. He looked completely disheveled. When he saw us, a flash of fear and remorse crossed his eyes, but it was already too late. Lily looked at Tom with anger and hatred in her eyes. She accused him loudly, "You liar! You ruined my life and my family. How could you be so heartless?" Tom kept his head down, afraid to look us in the eye, just kept saying sorry. After Tom was taken away by the police, Lily's mood still could not calm down. She often sat there alone, lost in thought. I know that she is still blaming herself for her actions and is ashamed of her former foolishness. I am by her side every day, encouraging and comforting her, letting her know that no matter what happens, I will face it with her. After this incident, my feelings for Lily also changed somewhat. Although I was once filled with anger and pain at her betrayal, seeing her suffer so much and her sincere remorse gradually made the resentment in my heart fade away. I began to re-examine our relationship, and I realized that although our love had undergone such a great test, it had not disappeared. On the contrary, it had become even more profound and precious during this crisis. Lily also began to make an effort to change herself. She no longer indulged in the virtual world, but instead treasured everything in real life. She took the initiative to participate in various social activities with me and reintegrated into our circle of friends. She also began to care more about my life and work, and our relationship gradually returned to normal. Although our lives have not fully returned to the way they were before, and although the betrayal and hurt of the past still leave a deep scar in our hearts, we both believe that as long as we love each other and support each other, we will be able to come out of this shadow and regain our happiness. This experience has also made us understand the importance of cherishing and trusting each other more. It will become an unforgettable memory in our lives, reminding us to protect our love and family. After deciding to give Lily another chance, it was as if we had pressed the start button on our lives again. But that doesn't mean the pain of the past can disappear instantly. The rift that has opened up between us still aches, reminding us of the past we would rather not remember. Lily seems to be well aware of this, and she is doing her best to make up for her past mistakes. After learning the truth about her online friend Tom, she decisively deleted all contact information with him and cleaned up all his information from her phone. She no longer indulges in virtual socializing as much as she used to, and instead devotes more time and energy to her family. Every morning, as soon as the first rays of sunshine stream into the room, Lily gets up early to prepare a hearty breakfast for me. She carefully selects my favorite ingredients, cooks them with all her heart, and then brings the breakfast to me. With a gentle smile on her face, she whispers, "Jack, eat up, don't be hungry." Watching her careful demeanor, my heart is filled with mixed emotions. The anger and pain of the past are gradually replaced by warmth at this moment. After breakfast, Lily would take the initiative to clean the room and keep the house spotless. She would carefully organize our clothes, fold my clothes neatly, and put my favorite aromatherapy in my closet. When she did these things, her eyes were full of concentration and seriousness, as if she wanted to make up for her past mistakes through these small things. Over time, Lily has become more considerate and gentle in our relationship. She takes the initiative to care about my work and life. When I'm stressed at work, she'll sit quietly by my side, listen to me, and give me comfort and encouragement. She'll use her warm hands to massage my shoulders to relieve my fatigue. She'll also prepare a cup of hot tea for me when I get home from work, so that I can feel the warmth of home. I, too, am trying hard to let go of the pain of the past and trust Lily again. I know that this is not an easy thing to do, but I am willing to try for the sake of our marriage and our once-upon-a-time love. I began to pay more attention to Lily's feelings, respect her opinions, and share the joys and sorrows of life with her. On weekends, we go shopping together. We hold hands as we select groceries and household goods. Lily carefully chooses my favorite snacks and fruits, and we discuss the menu for dinner. Just like when we were in love, we tease and joke with each other, enjoying these ordinary but heartwarming moments. Sometimes we go to the movies together. Sitting in the cinema, Lily snuggles up close to me, just like when we were first in love. When the movie gets emotional, she gets teary-eyed, and I gently wipe away her tears and hold her hand tightly. Looking at her trusting eyes, the wound in my heart seems to be slowly healing. However, our reconciliation was not always smooth sailing. At times, the pain of the past would resurface. For example, when I saw Lily chatting with other male friends, a sense of unease and suspicion would well up in me. And when Lily occasionally came home late from work or other commitments, the image of her cheating on me would inevitably come to mind. At these times, Lily is always keenly aware of my emotional changes. She will take the initiative to explain to me, asking me not to think too much about it. She will prove her sincerity with her actions, convincing me that she has completely reformed. And I will also try to restrain my emotions, telling myself to trust Lily and our relationship. One time, Lily came home very late because she had to work overtime at the office. When she opened the door, she saw me sitting on the sofa with a gloomy face. She immediately understood what I was thinking. She walked over to me, gently hugged me and said, "Jack, I know you're worried again. I really was just working overtime and didn't do anything to betray you. You have to trust me. Okay?" With that, she took out her phone and let me check her chat history and work emails to prove her innocence. Looking into her sincere eyes, my unease gradually dissipated. I hugged her tightly and said, "Lily, I believe you. I know I shouldn't have doubted you again, but I was really afraid of losing you again." Lily listened to my words, her eyes sparkling with tears of emotion. She stroked my hair gently and said, "Jack, I will never let you down again. I will spend my whole life guarding our love." As time passed, the trust between us gradually deepened. The wound that once hurt us so deeply also slowly healed with our efforts. Although it still aches occasionally, we are no longer afraid. Because we know that as long as we love and trust each other, there is no difficulty we cannot overcome. Our lives gradually returned to normal, and the happiness and warmth of the past returned to our home. Together, we faced the various challenges in life and shared the little joys in life. We believe that in the days to come, we will cherish each other even more, and our love will become even stronger and more beautiful. And that experience of betrayal in the virtual world will become a valuable asset in our lives, making us understand even more the preciousness of love and the responsibility of marriage. Time passed slowly, and before we knew it, the pain from Lily's betrayal gradually faded with the passage of time. The pain and confusion that once followed us everywhere have now turned into a vague outline in our memories. Although occasionally a trace of hidden pain still arises, it can no longer sway our lives. Lily has completely broken free from the illusions of the virtual world and devoted herself fully to our real lives. It's as if she's become a different person, paying more and more meticulous attention to me and our family. Every morning, when the first ray of sunshine gently streams into the room, she always wakes up early to prepare a nutritious breakfast for me. Fried eggs, bacon, toast, fresh juice, and coffee. Everything is full of her love. Before I get up, she will neatly arrange my clothes by the bedside, and even thoughtfully select the appropriate attire for me according to the weather that day. During this time, I also learned to truly let go of the past. I no longer needlessly suspect over trivial matters, and I no longer let past betrayals become obstacles between us. I began to see Lily with a new perspective, to feel her love and devotion. Our time together is no longer fraught with the caution and repression of the past. Instead, it is relaxed and carefree. One sunny weekend, Lily suggested that we go on a trip to the countryside together. She planned the itinerary with excitement and booked a homestay in a beautiful scenic spot. Along the way, we laughed and talked nonstop. The scenery outside the window was picturesque, with flowers blooming in the fields and a fresh scent in the air. Lily was like a child, pointing out the sights from time to time and sharing her discoveries with me. Watching her bright smile, my heart was filled with warmth. Upon arrival at the homestay, we were enchanted by the beautiful scenery. The homestay is nestled among green mountains and clear streams, surrounded by lush forests and clear streams. We unpacked our luggage and couldn't wait to go into the embrace of nature. We strolled along the trail along the stream, the pebbles under our feet making a crisp sound. Lily held onto my arm tightly, and we stopped from time to time to admire the wildflowers and grasses along the stream, and sometimes crouched down to observe the small fish and shrimp in the water. In the evening, we returned to the homestay and had a barbecue in the courtyard. Lily skillfully fiddled with the grill, arranging the ingredients one by one. As she grilled the food, she shared funny stories from her childhood with me. I listened quietly, my heart full of emotion. We had also had many such wonderful times, but because of her momentary loss, we almost missed them. And now, we have finally found this sweetness and happiness again. At night, we lie on the deck chairs in the courtyard, looking up at the stars. The stars are like jewels embedded in the black sky, shining brightly. Lily leans her head on my shoulder and whispers, "Jack, thank you for giving me a second chance, so that we can still be as happy together as we are now. I really cherish everything we have now, and I will love you with all my heart and protect our home in the future." I held her hand tightly and said deeply, "Lily, the past is in the past. We must all look forward. I believe that our future will definitely be even better." After the trip, we returned home and were full of anticipation for our future life. We started to plan our dreams together. We wanted to move to a bigger house with a garden and a sunroom. We would plant our favorite flowers and plants in the garden, and place comfortable sofas and bookshelves in the sunroom, where we could read books and bask in the sun together in our spare time. We also planned to travel to different places every year to see more scenery and experience different cultures. We both work harder to make these dreams come true. I put more energy into my work, strive to improve my abilities, and fight for better development opportunities. Lily is no slouch either. She is proactive in her work and constantly learns new knowledge and skills. We encourage and support each other and work together on the road to pursuing our dreams. We also pay more attention to spending time together in our daily lives. Every week, we set aside a regular time to go to the movies, go shopping, or participate in some fun activities together. We also invite friends over to our home to share the joys and troubles of life together. Through these activities, our relationship has become even deeper, and our lives have become more and more colorful. As time goes by, our lives are getting better and better. We have finally moved into the big house we have always dreamed of, and the flowers and plants in the garden are growing vigorously. We also traveled to many places as we wished, and each trip left us with fond memories. Looking back on that painful experience, our hearts are full of emotion. Although the betrayal in the virtual world has caused us great harm, it has also made us understand the importance of cherishing and trusting more. It has taught us to grow, to persevere in difficult situations, and to forgive with love. Today, we have turned a new page in our lives. No longer haunted by the shadows of the past, we are moving forward with determination towards a hopeful future. We believe that as long as we love and support each other, we will be able to overcome any difficulties and challenges together and create a happy life of our own. And that experience of betrayal in the virtual world will always remain a precious part of our lives, reminding us to cherish the people around us and this hard-won love.